Yaqeen always develops in the face of adversities. What do I mean by that? Let's dive deeper. Whenever you keep coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we already know, you get tested more severely. And those that keep trying to keep coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they develop their yaqeen. Their yaqeen develops. How? Well, for one, your life is not going to go the way you want it most of the time. In other words, it's going to be going the opposite a lot of times. In fact, a lot of times there's going to be doors that are going to close on you a lot, so you choose Allah's choice. By Allah guiding you, making it easier for you to what He wants you to take. By closing the other doors so you don't have an option, and instead pick what He wants you to pick. SubhanAllah. So how does that develop my yaqeen then? Okay, let's make it a little simpler. Let's say you have a friend. What makes you trust that friend so much more? When they tell you, for example, that something is going to happen, but you didn't really believe them that much, but, well, you're my friend. Okay. And things were going not as the way the friend said, but they actually were the opposite of what he said. Then, at the very last second or something, it turned into what he said, or what they said. What's that gonna do? That's going to make you trust that friend with your life, essentially. You know what I mean? Now let's make this about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gives you a sign, something is going to happen. Gives you a vision, whatever. Or, when you pray istikhara, your heart becomes so influenced, you find yourself unable to stop the dua. As we made in our video about the power of istikhara, you can watch that. But basically, without much detail, your heart all of a sudden cannot stop the dua. You try. Even you're confused. Why am I even making this dua? And yet, you get so many signs telling you this is going to happen. But then, it happens the exact opposite of what was mentioned. But you hold on to your sign. You hold on to what you felt after istikhara. You hold on because you know Allah, you feel Allah has guided me. I did not make this dua. I don't feel like I did, even though I feel like I'm following my nafs. That's yaqeen developing. Because then what happens at the very end, after the tests, the severe tests, it goes exactly to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said. See what I mean? That's the best way to develop yaqeen. It has to be in the face of an adversity. Something going the opposite. Something not going your way. Now let's dive into our beloved real role models, our prophets, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, let's talk first maybe about Prophet Musa's mother, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her to put him in a box and place him in the sea and leave him to just float along the stream, right? And what did he tell her? لا تخافي إنا ردوه إليك, which basically means, don't be afraid. We will certainly return him to you. So there we go. A piece of information given to her. I will return him to you, right? What happened? Everything was the opposite. It felt like he was never going to return. I'm literally leaving him in a box as a baby. Going into the sea, just floating. No idea where he's even gonna go. He could get killed. Maybe the box could tip over. So many things. The opposite of the information. It felt like he's not going to return, right? And what happened? After years of obviously enduring and patience, but developed yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah's promises never get broken. Which is basically in the Quran, Inna wa'ad Allah haq. He came back safely to his mother, and as a man, not even as a baby anymore, so that means a lot of years have passed. See, subhanallah. More examples? No problem. Prophet Yaqub, as we keep mentioning him so many times, and Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, when it wasn't even known Yusuf was a prophet at the time. Also with visions, by the way, visions are the most beautiful blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So always when you have a vision, usually it's going to happen the opposite of what you saw in the vision before it gets to the real vision. After the vision of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, and he told his father, and only his father, because his father said, do not mention this to your brothers or else they will plot against you. What happened right after that information? They plotted against him, and he was thrown into the well, and his father kept crying, and they lied to him and said that the wolves had eaten him, and they even planted the evidence and everything from his torn clothes, and that shows that the wolves have eaten him, blah, 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 right? But his father did not believe them. He had Yaqeen. Allah's going to return him to me. Did he ever say, Prophet Yaqub, did he ever say, Allah's going to replace my son Yusuf with a better son? Even a better son? No. See what I mean? Yaqeen. The power of Yaqeen. And that was in the face of adversity. Everything on the opposite. But you're still believing, no, my son is going to come back. He did. He even lost his vision because of the dua from his eyes crying. Yes, he had an eye disease, but it's because of his dua from constantly crying. It made him lose his sight. See what I mean? Other examples. We all know Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear, guys, right? We also know that verily, with every hardship comes ease. Allah said it twice in the same surah, by the way, to make it even this point stronger, subhanAllah. And why did he do that, by the way? Because it's going to feel like it's not going to happen. Because we're going to have so many hardships, it's going to be hard to believe there's going to be ease every single time after it. But there will be. Of course, when someone is going through a test, right? Another example, as we said, it is so easy to tell them, don't worry, Allah doesn't burden a soul more than it can bear. So you can bear this. You can handle this. You just need to believe. And also with every hardship comes ease. So you know after this test, there will be ease. You will be rewarded for this. Your sins will be expiated. Your status will raise. It's easy to say these things when you're not going through the test yourself, right? So what's the yaqeen in that matter? The yaqeen in that matter is when you are going through those severe tests and you on your own say, Allah doesn't burden a soul more than it can bear. So I know I must be able to handle this, even though it doesn't feel like I can, but I can because Allah said it. And He only says truth. Also, He said every hardship comes ease. So whatever I'm going through, there has to be something easy that's got to follow it. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلْنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Which means Allah will test with a hint of fear, famine, loss of health, loss of wealth, and give glad tidings to those who stay patient. It sounds easy, but it's not easy at all to remember these things when you are going through the test. That's yaqeen. Because shaitan tries everything in his power when you are going through a test, make you depressed, make you complain. Sad, by the way, nothing is wrong with that. Like Prophet Yaqub, he was sad for 40 years. He was crying. But complaining, that's different. Also, complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is different than complaining about Him. About the test you're going through, in other words. But when you're complaining to Allah, Ya Allah, please give me strength. This is getting very difficult for me. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually beautiful. But when you, for example, I don't know, go on Facebook. But when you, for example, go on Facebook and you start going, I hate my life. My life is so difficult. Nothing goes my way. That's not complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's complaining about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's different. And yes, it's complaining about the tests. Well, who tests? Allah. So indirectly, it's complaining about Allah. Subhanallah. Another example of Yaqeen, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking to the prophets and basically revealed to them, you need to go to this village and guide their people to Islam. Let them know my existence. Right? So where is the piece of information that they're going to be tested with? And do not worry. You cannot be harmed. You'll be safe. What happens? They go to the village. Witch! Magician! You're crazy! Allah does not exist! What are you talking about? You 100% are crazy. Do not listen to this man. And what happens? Stones thrown at them. They get mocked. They get injured even. They get harmed. All of these things. The opposite of the information that was given. But, so why? Because Allah said, yes, they cannot harm you. They cannot harm you without His permission. So that's Yaqeen. Subhanallah. There's also Yaqeen through signs. So for example, you saw, as we already made the video about how Allah sends signs, but just without any detail. Basically, you saw a sign. I am so sure it's without a doubt, it has to be a sign. There is no way it isn't a sign. It helped me. It helped you. That's, by the way, another keyword. It helped you. It helped me do something. There's no way it's not a sign. This is one of the ways that I do it, by the way. It's a little extreme. You don't have to do it. But the way I do it as well is, I basically said to myself, I actually said to myself, if I were able to ask Allah a question and I were to meet Him right now, I will ask Him specifically about that sign I just saw. And I will tell Him, Ya Allah, this helped me so much. It has to be a sign. And because He's the all-knower of everything, the all-knowing, He's not going to say, no, it was not a sign. It helped you, yeah, but it was not a sign. That's impossible. Do you see what I mean? I said it's extreme, keep in mind. Yaqeen changes everything, guys. It's such a rare thing, but really, once you attain it, it is such a powerful thing. You literally live your life in a whole new perspective. You cannot make any mistakes. Because you already know, I ask Allah and I depend on Him for everything. I asked Him before I made that choice. So even though I made a mistake, but I did ask Him before, that means He guided me to His choice. So He chose this. Yes, it was a mistake, but it was a test. Your Yaqeen also has a very powerful impact on others. They tell you to make dua for them, but you already know, because of Yaqeen, Allah answers every dua. So when you say make dua for me, you already go because of Yaqeen, which makes your dua so much more powerful. Like the hadith about honey, remember? It's about the Yaqeen. It's about the Yaqeen that made it work and cure the brother's stomach issues. So you make the dua for them, and which makes it more powerful because you go, I made the dua, Ya Allah, please help this servant of yours to have what they wish. And I know you will answer, because you answer every dua when any servant calls upon you, if it's not haram, that is. So I call upon you to help them. And let's say, right after that, nothing happened to them. Wrong. Allah already answered it, and I know He answered it. It's just a matter of when He decides to deliver the answer, but He answered it, and I know He did. I don't need my eyes to see it. That's Yaqeen. There's the Yaqeen through istikhara, which we already made a video about power of istikhara, but just without any detail, as we said with the whole science thing as well. After I made my istikhara, I can't help but the dua just feels a lot more specific. It's a lot more powerful now. I can't even stop it. It's getting difficult to stop it. But things are going the opposite, the complete opposite, literally after the istikhara. So is it good for me? Is it bad for me? I really don't want to make the wrong choice. Your Yaqeen speaks, But in the dua of istikhara, I said, Ya Allah, I do not know, and you know, so guide me to what you see. That's why I came to you. I want you to show me. So that means He is showing me, even though I have no idea what I'm doing, but He's showing me. So I cannot make a wrong choice. That's Yaqeen. And that works the same with telling others to pray istikhara and telling them you cannot make a wrong decision because you're asking Allah to guide you to His choice. How is He not going to guide you to His choice? What's the point of istikhara? Subhanallah. Like I said, guys, Yaqeen changes your whole perspective on life. Yes, it's such a rare thing, but really once you attain the power of Yaqeen, nothing is going to feel the same anymore to you in this life. Your love for Allah is unbelievable. Allah's love for you is incomparable. Subhanallah. And yes, by the way, your tests are also incomparable. But again, even though the tests become a lot more unbearable, but your blessings become miracles, not blessings. Subhanallah. Prophet Musa's mother, I know, Ya Allah, you said you're going to return him to me safely. I believe you. Yeah, I have no idea where the box is taking him, the sea is taking him. I don't know, he's just a baby. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's definitely going to think about his mother, where she is. All of these things. But you told me you're going to return him safely. I have to believe it. He's going to return him safely. That is Yaqeen developing. Subhanallah. In the face of adversity. Prophet Yaqub going, I know he's going to return. Allah's not going to replace my son with a better one. They're telling me he's dead. But I just know there's no way, no. He's not dead. I know he's alive. What happened? Yaqeen, subhanallah. So that's what a lot of you are wondering and telling me. What is this feeling I'm getting? Even though things are going the opposite to my dua, I can't help but still feel. I feel strongly Allah's just testing me. That's Yaqeen developing. Subhanallah. But then shaitan, of course, tries to twist it and make you feel, no, it's just you following your nafs, your desires. No, it's because you're thinking about it. That's why you're getting this feeling. No, it isn't. There's also the powerful statement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself has said. أَنَا عَنْدِ ظَنِّ عَبَدِي بِي فَيَظُنَّ مَا يَشَاءُ. I am whatever my servant pictures me to be. So they can picture me as they want. So if you picture Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as kind, He'll be kind. If you picture Him as the all-merciful, which He is, He will be the all-merciful. But if you picture Him as evil, He will be evil. If you picture Him that He sends signs, He sends signs. If you picture Him with the yaqeen, that every hardship comes ease. Every hardship comes ease. All of these things. So that's such a powerful thing as well. Husn al-dhann billah, which basically means having good, positive things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, positive thoughts about Him. But if you think that He's abandoned you, doesn't like you, all of these things, and by the way, yes, there is a difference, obviously, when you are going through a test and you don't really think these things, but your depression forces you to think them, that's shaitan. But you still need to try to control that. It doesn't make Allah actually evil to you and all these things, okay? But if you intentionally just keep thinking about it, even when you're not depressed and having time of your life or whatever, that's different. Then yes, He will become evil to you, all these things. So that's also Yaqeen. Have good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. By the way, yes, there are situations that can lead to your dua not getting answered, of course. Like you sinning, that can lock your dua. But eventually Allah answers if you keep making the dua, and of course you fix those things. And yes, Allah lets you know, by the way, why He's not answering your dua. Keep that in mind as well. There's one famous example as well that's going to happen to all of us. Well, those of us that remain alive, of course. Al-Dajjal. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about Dajjal? A lot of things, but among the things He said was what? Well, you're going to see the word kafir on his forehead. He described to you what he looks like, all of these things. Why? The Yaqeen. Because even though it feels easy, so he has one eye or whatever, he has kafir on his forehead. Oh, so I just look for those. Oh, and his heaven is actually hellfire, and his hellfire is actually heaven. That's easy. No, not at all, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said what? This is going to be the most difficult fitna that's ever going to basically touch mankind. So why do they mention it? Because it is going to be so difficult, and your only yaqeen is going to be what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you. But it looks so much like heaven. It is so beautiful. And He revived the dead. And He definitely is probably going to revive your loved ones, for example. My loved ones, I can finally see them again. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it's all fake. It's not them. But it looks like them. They talk like them. No, it's jinn in disguise. Heaven looks so much like it's real, but it's so beautiful. There is no... But He said hellfire, but it looks so scary though. It looks exactly like, well, hellfire, it's just burning. Is this really heaven? That's the yaqeen. That's why it's going to be so difficult, guys. So that's a part about yaqeen as well. Yes, that's definitely yaqeen, because all you have is what Allah told you. But everything is the opposite. Heaven is actually hellfire. Hellfire is actually heaven. And those that are being revived, they're not your loved ones. They are just shayateen in disguise. Subhanallah.